We go now to some ISIS news with a U.S. representative claiming that ISIS has been caught crossing the border. Because you remember this summer when InfoWars was talking about this, when we were going down to the border, we were talking to the emergency managers. Joe Biggs was running across the border with Al-Qaeda flags and all that stuff. Oh, you guys are fear mongers. You're doing this, you're doing that. There's no real threat. You got to leave the borders open for the kids. And I do feel sorry for the kids. I feel sorry for the adults as well. The people coming from these very bad situations in whatever country they came from. But, you know, that's not a reason to have a wide open border. Yeah, the kids come in and they need help and all that. But you also have the terrorists that come around. You know, you can't just have all the good. You have to take the bad along with it. You need to shut down these borders, have a real border patrol down there, because the border patrol is too busy changing diapers and heating up bottles. And for all the people who say the border is racist, it's a symbol of oppression, all this and that. There's a border on Mexico. There's a border on Canada. If I want to go to China, they're going to ask like, hey, what are you doing over here? But I say all that to say this. Let's hear this clip from Duncan Hunter.
And the Border Patrol, they just let ISIS members come across the border?
No, they caught them at the border. Therefore, we know that ISIS is coming across the border. And if they catch 5 or 10 of them, then you know there's going to be dozens more that did not get caught by the Border Patrol.
Ferguson, Missouri is back in the news with this report. Military preparing to respond to Ferguson riots. A reporter with Daily Kos, who says he was told by a source within the Missouri military that troops are being prepared to deal with riots in Ferguson and St. Louis in the aftermath of an expected acquittal in the case of Officer Darren Wilson. Sean King, who has over 75,000 followers on Twitter, revealed that how he was told some incredibly disturbing information by a Missouri military source, how in a meeting with military commanders in his unit, he was told that they needed to prepare for riots in Ferguson and in St. Louis very soon. Now, we have seen people threatening to have riots at Cardinals games, at St. Louis Rams games. Hopefully that will not happen. But we have seen the military already down in the streets of Ferguson with the National Guard out there. So what's going to happen after this verdict comes down, whether it's this year, next year? People have not forgotten. I am concerned about that because we don't need any more riots, no more looting, but we also don't need any more police brutality or a reason to have military on the streets. So, you know, everybody be on your best behavior, and hopefully the military won't have any justification at all to be out there. Now, let's talk about something that's very interesting to me. You know, comic books are in the news a lot nowadays, and we see, you know, all this scandal, all that scandal. But now there's a really positive story that I was very happy to hear about. Superman is a supporter of the Second Amendment. This is Dean Cain. He had played Superman years ago, and he has a very interesting tale of how he came to love the Second Amendment.
I openly discuss politics if people want to. If they don't want to, I won't put my politics on them, but I'll ask them why they're so against this or so for this, or what would they do in this situation. You know, you're completely against, you know, guns, right? Well, what happens at 4 o'clock in the morning when someone's banging on your door, as happened to me in the past, and I had no weapon in the house? I was terrified. I'm a big, strong guy. My knees were buckling. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm armed to the teeth now. At 4 o'clock in the morning, come bang on my door. My knees won't buckle.
And I really like what he said there, because he's this big, strapping guy. He played Superman, but he admits, you know, somebody came to his door in the early morning hours. He was unarmed and he didn't know what to do. You know, calling the police, you know, a good police response time is about 2 minutes. But after that, he said he's armed to the teeth, and, you know, the man of steel is packing steel, and that's all right with me. Now, our last group tonight in our report, they don't have supervision. They don't have heat vision. Actually, they have no vision at all, but that's not stopping them from the right to bear arms.
All of the 8 people using firearms today are blind or visually impaired, so their instructor,
and I'm going to go around to each person.
Chandler Bullard, helped them envision the .22 caliber rifle by touching it.
Okay, that's your barrel.
Bullard knows what it's like to have to work a little harder than able-bodied people because he has limitations of his own. He works for Northeast Passage, a nonprofit giving people with disabilities the ability to try something new.
And for all the people who want to complain about blind people shooting guns, as you saw in the video, the instructor was holding the gun for them at a professional shooting range, shooting downrange with dirt and other things to stop any stray bullets. There's nothing wrong with that. Even if you went out there and you could see, you'd probably miss a target if you didn't know what you were doing. So it's not a big deal. This is a group of people. They go out and they enjoy life. They horseback ride even though they're blind. They shoot even though they're blind. They just go out and have a good time. You should try to do the same. Well, that's it for this segment of the InfoWars Nightly News. But stay tuned, because after this break, we'll have a special report from Joe Biggs detailing the response to the Ebola pandemic, and also the InfoWars timeline documenting ISIS in this country. Stay tuned.
DNA DNA Force.
When cells become toxic, they die early and aging sets in.
DNA Force.
No one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. Just one of the key compounds, BioPQQ, is backed by major clinical studies.
DNA Force.
We now have the synergistic solution. Secure your DNA Force today at InfoWarsLife.com or call toll-free 888-253-3139.
DNA Force.